Hello everybody, this is Danny from Deep South Homestead again on porch time today. No, we're not back outside. There's multiple reasons. It's one thing, it's pouring down, raining, the wind's blowing everywhere. Oh, there's just noise all in the neighborhood everywhere, so it's just one of those things that I decided to come back in the studio and do it again in here. Maybe we'll eventually get our cabin built where perhaps maybe I can sit on the porch of the cabin and do it and find some sort of peace. Maybe. We'll have to wait and see. And if you want to see the cabin build, it's over on Patreon. If you want to check for $3, if you want to watch how a cabin's built, we have intricate details over there. You're more than welcome to go over there and look at that. There's a few things on YouTube, little specialty things about the cabin build, but you know what? It is what it is, guys. We did a video on that on Porch Time. You might want to go watch that. But today, the topic is, where has the time gone? I mean, guys, I was sitting here talking to Wanda, and I told her, I said, you know, I moved here 29 years ago. February, 29 years ago. And I'm like, where did the time go? I was sitting here and I was thinking about all the things that I've been through since I've been here. I lived across the road originally from where I am. I had bought 10 acres over there. And guys, I was the only person on this road out here other than a couple of old men who lived down the road here, and they were elderly people. Kind of a strange thing how God leads you to your destination. I was looking for land to buy and was just driving down I'd never been on this road in my life, even though I'd lived in this whole area and been on all the roads out here. This was one that I had never been on. So I decided to come down this road. And when I did, I saw all this land. There were no houses anywhere other than a couple of little old homes. And I was like, wow. So I stopped and I seen an old for sale sign in the woods, and I picked it up and I could make the number out, and I called it, and this lady said, yes, we had that land for sale for many, many years and there were just no buyers for it. And I asked her who owned it, and she told me, well, I knew the family. So I contacted them. And it took 2 years of negotiating for me to be able to negotiate a 10-acre parcel from them. They own 260-something acres here. Well, when they finally agreed to sell it to me, they told me, said, just pick which piece you want and we'll sell it to you. So I got a map, and I came out and began running landlines. Well, I parked my truck on the side of the road and got out and walked across the road, and I was looking to make sure I was in the right place. I didn't want to be trespassing. And I noticed a dairy barn, an old dairy barn, on the hill from me there. And I kept looking at that dairy barn, and I noticed I saw something move in the window of that dairy barn, and I looked and it was a gun barrel. And I'm like, wow, maybe I am trespassing. Maybe I'm not reading the map right, because I used to run landlines, and I said, I'm pretty sure I'm right, but I stepped back behind my truck because, you know, just out of sight, and I just kept standing there, and eventually I saw the door on the building open, and I saw a man come walking down the hill, and he had a gun in his hand. And he walked to the fence, and he stepped over the fence, and he come out to the road, and I told him, I said, sir, I apologize if I'm trespassing. I told him, I said, I have this map here, and it looks like the landline comes across the road right here. And I pulled over to check that, and he introduced himself, and he says, no, you're not trespassing, and you are right. Yes, the landline does come across here. And I said, well, I noticed you had a gun, and it kind of bothered me. And he said, oh, son, he said, don't let that bother you. He said, the deer cross the road right here, and every once in a while I'll come down here and shoot me one. And I was like, oh, I said, well, I'm sorry that I interfered with your deer hunting then. I would have never done that. And he said, no, it's fine. He said, I'll get them another day. Don't worry about it. He said, so what are you doing? I said, well, these people have agreed to sell me a 10-acre parcel out of this 260-something acres, and I don't know anything about this land. I've got to start walking it to see where I want to live. And he said, well, look, I've lived here for many, many, many years. And why don't I just take you and show you the best parts of it? And I was like, wow. He said, we need a good neighbor out here. There's nobody but me and old Sam lives down the road here. And he said, nobody but us. And he said, it'd be good to have a good neighbor. So he told me where to go in my truck. We drove down all these old woods roads, and he showed me these places and that. And he said, but you know, he said, the one next to me, he says, is really the best parcel on all of it. And he took me back in there on old woods road and showed me, and it was beautiful. Beautiful pine timber everywhere. So I looked at the map and I said, well, I could easily pull a 10-acre parcel out of that, but I'd have to get a right-of-way from the road into it from these people. But they told me to pick what I wanted. So I went back to them and they agreed to it. They gave me a deeded right-of-way in there to it, and I bought it, paid cash for it, and started building my home. And there's a lot of stories that goes into this property, guys. I built me a nice 2-story home. I fenced my 10 acres off. I brought in equipment. I pushed and cleared it. I had part of it logged. I actually was in the logging business at the time, and I actually logged the other 250 acres that they had here for them and thinned it out for them and done things like that. Really helped the family out. And I loved it. The tranquility and the serenity that was here was amazing. There was no noise. Everything was so quiet. I had a group of trespassers that habitually trespassed on me for about 3 years, 4 years. And they were just what you would call the good old boys. I mean, they had always come through these woods. They had always hunted in behind me in here. And I told them, I said, look, you can't keep doing this. This land belongs to me. And they tried to be a problem. But to make a long story short, I eventually won out on that. And it all kind of quit, went away. And everything was so peaceful. And I approached the people about buying the rest of the land between my house and the Blacktop Road so that I wouldn't have to have a deeded right-of-way. I would own the land in case something ever happened. So I bought another 5 going to the road. And then they give me permission to hunt on the land, and I would always come across to where I'm living at now, and I would always hunt over here. There's a running stream in my backyard. It was beautiful back then. The big timber was all around the stream, and I would go sit down by that stream because a deer would come down there to drink water, and I would take one occasionally. And it was like every time I sit down by that stream and listen to the water pouring over the waterfalls in it, making that little babbling sound as it ran, it's like God was here. He was on this piece of property with me, and it was like he told me, he said, one day this will be yours. And I just, I didn't know how to take it. I would go back and I would tell my wife, I'd say, wow, I said, it's almost like the spirit was on that piece of property, you know, and I said, there's so much peace there. Well, the landowners eventually put the land up for sale, and some realtors came in and blocked it all up. Really upset me, but I went ahead and bought this 10 acres and was going to buy the 20 behind me, but I missed the deal by like about maybe 15 minutes. Some other guy bought it. And that's when it all began. Neighbors. They started moving in everywhere. And for the most part, everybody was really good. We had one that was a problem, but that pretty soon reconciled itself. And here I am now, 29 years later, still living at the same place. I've actually moved across the road. You know, life events took place, and I mean, I'll be transparent. I went through a divorce, and I gave the house and some of the land back to the lady I was married to, and I moved across the road on the other side over here, and I built me a new home over here. I didn't really leave. I just moved over here, and she eventually, after a period of time, sold the place and left. But I said all that to say this: even though a lot of times we may move to the perfect place, an LCE, a life-changing event, can always happen, because since I moved over here, there's been a lot of problems, you know, and it's no one particular person's fault, I don't think. I think maybe there's a lot of misunderstandings in a lot of areas, but for the most part, everything is good, you know. It's not as quiet as it used to be, because when you have lots of neighbors living around, everybody makes lots of noise, and I'm sure I make some sort of noise that irritates other neighbors, you know. I'm building a cabin right now, and I know that probably the neighbors that live back in there probably get tired of hearing me hammer all the time, or my generator running and stuff like that. You know, maybe they get tired of hearing my tractor run, or my goats or my cows, or, you know, stuff making noise, or my turkeys gobbling, or whatever. But you know, it's a trade-off wherever you live. We listen to kids and four-wheelers, and we hear animals in the distance making noise, and cows in the distance, and sheep in the distance, and people who have big giant boats cranking the motors up on them. And you know, I can sit here and think of all kinds of things about how it has changed. And I remembered how it used to, the only thing you ever heard out here was an airplane go over occasionally. I mean, I remember my kids, and this is really funny, if my daughter sees this video, she'll probably comment on it, how that when we heard traffic coming down the blacktop road in front of us up here, we would all run out. They would run out to see the vehicle go down the road, because cars just never came through here. And when you seen one, you probably lived here, or you were just lost, you know. And they would always run and say, "Oh, it was this car, or it was that car," you know. And now there's just cars everywhere all the time, you know, because there's people everywhere, and it's never quiet anymore, hardly. The serenity's gone. The quietness is gone. That's why I'm in here making videos. Occasionally I will get an opportunity to go outside and make a video, and we're able to edit some of the noise out. But it's getting to the point where we can't really edit all the noise out. So rather than be distracted by tons of noise while I'm doing a video, I'll just come in the studio. And you may even hear a noise on here today, because there's a metal roof over my studio here, and it's raining like crazy. And you may hear that in the background of this video, because I can't, there's some things my programs just will not allow me to edit out. But there's a serenity about the rain falling on a metal roof that makes it really easy to sleep. So, like I said, sometimes we trade this off for that. And you know, when you live anywhere, all it takes is one bad apple to ruin everything for everybody. And you know, it's sad, but that happens in a lot of neighborhoods, and ours is no exception. We always have those people, and you know, I try not to badger anybody or anything. I have enough problems of my own to deal with. But you know, when you move somewhere, unless you have the money, if you're buying a homestead, to buy a huge piece of property that guarantees you some sort of buffer around you that will keep noise at a distance from you, don't ever think you're going to live your entire life there in peace and serenity. Because had I known years ago what I know now, I would have bought most of this land out here. Because I could have. I just didn't. Because back then land just didn't sell like it does now, and I could kick myself sometimes for not going ahead and buying more than I did. But it is what it is. I mean, we talked about that in a previous video. The guys, time slips away from us so easy, because I was sitting here reminiscing over, I looked across the land and across the road, and there's pine trees over there now 40 feet tall that in the year 2000, the spring of 2000, I planted those trees by hand. And I was thinking that one day I might use them to build me a log cabin out of when I get older or something like that. But I've since sold the property, and I just get to look at the trees now. They're beautiful. The neighbor's a great guy. He takes good care of the place. The trees are well maintained. The land's well maintained. He's a good neighbor. And, you know, it does me a lot of good. The driveway that goes into his house, I planted the whole driveway. It's like 700 feet long. I planted it with Spanish oaks, the old live oaks, like 30 years ago. And now they've grown up and they're almost canopy in the driveway where you drive underneath them like an old antebellum home with the big old crooked oaks and all. You drive down that long road. That's what the driveway going into this house is beginning to look like, and it's beautiful. The guy does a fantastic job taking care of it. He would kill somebody if they tried to cut one of those trees down. And there is a story about that with the power company, but I'm not going to tell it. Maybe another day. But you know, I get to look at that and I get to see what my hands done years ago. I get to see the handiwork, because a lot of people have told me, says, I don't know why you didn't move from that area. No, guys, you know what? I'm not going anywhere. I've been here fixing to be 30 years. I've been here longer than anybody that's left living out here has. And I'm not going anywhere for no reason at all. As a matter of fact, you know, I have plans to advance, not decrease. And you know, it's kind of funny that here a while back, I thought about really selling here a while back because of all the noise and everything that was going on, and I'm like, you know what, I'm not a quitter. I'm a winner. You know, I'll make things happen where I'm at. And that's what I plan on doing. I'm going to stay here, I believe, until I die, unless God tells me different. And I will do whatever I have to do to make things the way I want them. Because we have to understand that it is our homestead, and we can't back down to the world. We have to stand our ground in the world that we live in today and not let hoodlums and drunks and alcoholics and stuff like that destroy everything for us. We have to learn that if we want our peace, we got to stand, and we got to make that happen. And that's just what I plan on doing where I'm at. And wherever you're at, you should plan on standing. Because you know what? What made our country great was the fact that our forefathers stood. They didn't back down. A man was a man. And guys, it didn't matter what the law did. It didn't matter what the law said. Men stood on their beliefs. And that's what I'm doing. I'm going to stand on my beliefs. I'm going to stand. I'm not going to walk away from anything. I don't plan on letting anybody do anything to me or make me do anything different. Because, guys, I'm one of those people in the world that you don't want mad at you. You know, I hate to say this because I know I portray a lot of different things on YouTube. But guys, I'm one of these kind of people, if you burn a bridge with me, it goes to the grave with me. I'm not going to be your friend. You know, and that's why I tell people up front, I'm the best neighbor you will ever have. I will give you the shirt off my back. I will work with you. I will help you. I will do anything in this world for you. But you cross that bridge and you burn it behind it with me, I don't care what happens. It ain't coming back. And you know, and that's just who I am. It's my temperament. It's just who I am. And I'm not going to say that it's right, and I'm not going to say that it's wrong. But I'm telling you that until homesteaders learn to stand their ground for what they believe is right, this country's taking our rights away from us one by one, and they're bending over to hoodlums and I don't even know the right word to even call these people. You know, they have no clue about life whatsoever. All they know is the fast-paced, loud noise type life that is a life of destruction. And it seems like that they're the majority of the voice now, and like everything wants to lean in that direction. Well, I'm here to tell you, I'm not leaning in that direction. I'm going to stand my ground, and as homesteaders, I think we need to learn to stand our ground in this country. Even if the law goes against us in a lot of ways, I'm not telling us to break the law. I'm just telling us that we need to take it to the fullest extent, and that's what I plan on doing. Is taking the law to the fullest extent that I can for my rights, because I do believe in this country there's a movement to take that right away from us as homesteaders, in one fashion or another. So where has the time gone? You know, stop and think about it. How long have you been where you're at? We all have hopes and dreams. We sit back and we dream about what we're going to do one day, and the next thing we know, it's 5 years, it's 10 years, it's 15 years, and we haven't done anything. Guys, let's just do it. As a team, let's do it. Let's be a team. This weekend, this Saturday, the Lord willing, we're going to have a gathering here in Stone County at the Stone County Fairgrounds in Wiggins, Mississippi. A lot of the law has been invited. Now whether they'll come or not, I don't know. But we have people flying in from all over the country to come in here to this gathering. This gathering is to promote homesteading. It is to promote community. It is to promote awareness and togetherness. It is to promote Christ. Guys, this is what we do. This is our dream here at Deep South Homestead, is to create a community of people all across this nation and be able to bring them together and to be able to say, we have a voice. We want to be heard. And I believe that if enough of us do that in our areas, and I'll reach out to other YouTubers, have gatherings, have things in your area for people who can come to your place and they don't feel isolated here and there. Because one thing about homesteading is, I hear more than anything else, I feel like I'm all alone. You're not alone. There's thousands of people out there just like you, and it's just a matter of finding you. And that's what people like me on Deep South Homesteading want to do, is we try to link people together where they are so that they don't feel alone and they feel like they have someone they can talk to share problems with. So guys, that's Porch Time today. I hope that you've enjoyed it, and I thank you for sitting here and joining me for this session on Porch Time. Have a blessed day, and we look forward to seeing you this weekend if you're coming to the gathering. Thank you from Deep South Homestead.